chapter of module 3, which we are going to solve a couple of questions related to the last part. As you remember, for the last module we were talking about equation and inequalities, and we had some kind of couple of ways in order to solve them based on the question itself. Either it's going to be one step, two step, or it could be a combination of those, or we do have inequalities. So at this point I'm trying to focus more on answering the question itself, and I really suggest you guys that are watching the video right now try to look at the previous video that you can completely understand what is going on over here. But again, I'm doing my best to explain it at least in a way that you can some kind of get the context of this some kind of work itself. So first of all, as we can see over here, we do have the question. So the very first question is that we are trying to solve this kind of example based on the model of them. For the first part on the left side, we do have the one-step equations, and for the right side, we only have one question, which is two-step. Again, why we call it as one-step equation? Because the only thing that you need to do is just one step. Either you have to add or subtract a number in order to get your variable, which we know as x, isolated and move other numbers to another side, or we have to do the addition, or we have to do the multiplication and division. And also you remember, whenever you see addition, you have to use the inverse operation, which is subtraction. Whenever you see a subtraction, you have to use the inverse operation, which addition, so on and so forth. So let's start with the very first question. I do have x plus 9 is equals to 15. My x is variable. I would like to find it based on the fact that I have. And since I do have plus, what is my inverse compound operation? Would be considered as negative, or subtraction would be subtracted by 9. It means that I have to move all of the number to another side based on the way that I know, keep my variable in one side, and after that I can understand what is the real answer for my question is. So again, subtracted by 9, so I do have x is equals to 6. As simple as that. For the next one, I do have the multiplication. So we know in the inverse operation of multiplication is division. It means that I have to divide both sides by 5 itself. So divide by 5, divide by 5. If I do that one, this 5 is going to cancel out this 5, so I do have x is equals to 8 itself. And also for the last part, I do have division. So what is the inverse operation of division? Exactly, it's multiplication. So multiply by 6, multiply by 6. So I know x is equals to 48, as simple as that. So what was two-step equation? Two-step equation means that rather than just doing some kind of inverse operation, I also have to do it again in order to make sure that my x is going to be isolated. Again, try to remember that when we are talking about solving an equation, when we are trying to find a variable based on some kind of the known thing, we are trying to find x as itself. Again, x should be completely isolated without any number beside that, without any addition and subtraction. We only need x by itself. So for this question, I do have 3x plus 2 is equals to 11, right? So what should I do? The first step would be what? Get rid of these 2. How I can do that? Inverse operation. So it means that my 3x is equals to 9. For the second step, again, I'm going to do the inverse operation. Since I do have multiplication, divided by 3, divided by 3. So my x is equals to be 3. Again, if you remember from the previous video, I told you at the end of each question, try to evaluate your answer. It means that you will find an answer, right? So you have to make sure that answer is wrong or right. So it would be better to put your answer in the first expression. You know that expression means that either the left side, which is the combination of the variable, coefficient, and constant, it should be as the same as the right expression, which in total we call it as equation. So it would be better to put your answer inside your equation to make sure this expression is going to be as the same as this one. So based on the answer, I do have 3 times 3 plus 2 is equals to be 11. So this is the first side of equation. And after that, for the second side of equation, I do have this. So I know my answer is going to be right. Another thing that we have about the mixed practice, it means that at this point, not only I have to do the addition and subtraction or multiplication and division based on the usage of inverse operation in order to make x isolated, I do have another problem. And that problem comes from the fact that my x is going to be there on the first side and on the second side. So the very first thing that we have to do is to make sure that we are going to keep all of the x's, or maybe it could be y, z, or any other kind of variable that you have in one side, and after that try to do all of the things that we just learned, the one step or two step, after that part. So for this question, for the very first question, I do have 5x minus 7 is equals to 3x plus 9. So I have to move the 3x or maybe 5x into a point that 5x and 3x are going to be side by side. We know from the like terms that if I do have two terms, for example, 5x and plus 3x, if I have these two, since the power of these two variables are 1, and since the variable itself is the same, I can add these two. So I have to use this back in order to simplify those. So the very first thing that I have to do, get rid of this 3x or move this one to the right side. So if I want to move this one to the right side, or I have to get rid of that, again, I'm going to do the inverse operation. This time, instead of just doing it with a number, I'm going to do it with a variable. So what do I have? I do have 5x minus 3x minus 7 is equal to 3x minus 3x plus 9. Obviously, this guy and this guy are going to cancel out each other. These two guys are going to be 2x minus 7, and this one is going to be 9. Right now, I do have the two-step equation, which I'm going to do exactly based on the way that I know. So what was it? Inverse operation. Get rid of negative 7. I do have 2x is equals to 16. Again, I do have the multiplication divided by 2. So my x is equals to 8. So if you try to reevaluate this question, you can put x as 8 and on the left side and again on the right side to make sure that both of them are going to be equal. So we do have another part that's going to be distributive property. Again, as I just told you, it would be better to get rid of parentheses at the beginning. And using that, we had some kind of, in previous videos, we had a rule about that. And that rule was, when you do have something like this, a multiplied by b plus c, in order to get rid of parentheses or in order to apply the distributive property, you can do something like this, is equals to ab or a multiplied by b plus ac. So this is something that I know. I can apply that over here. So what do I have on the left side of my equation? 2 multiplied by 2x is going to be 4x. 2 times minus 3, again, remember, it is minus 3, not positive 3. So when we are doing this distributive part, we have to keep the whole thing. 2 times minus 3 is going to be negative 6. So I do have, again, should be plus 4. So equals to 10. So I do have negative 4, negative 6 plus 4, negative 2. So I do have 4x minus 2 is equals to 10. So this is, again, two-step equation. So how can I get rid of negative 2? Positive 2, positive 2. So I do have 4x is equals to 12. The second step would be divided by 4, divided by 4. So my x is going to be 3 itself, as simple as that. Again, we do have some kind of common mistakes in equations. Again, the reason that I'm telling you to every time try to check your answer to see whether it's right or not is to put the final number, the one that you found, into the equation itself to make sure the left side of equation, which is the left expression, is going to be as the same as right expression. So why we are doing that? Because we are trying to make sure that in this process, in the middle of this process, we are not going to lose anything. It means that sometimes we do have addition, we are going to do the subtraction, sometimes we forget a negative number, sometimes we are going to do the multiplication completely wrong. So one of the very common mistake, which again, if you want to make sure that you don't have this kind of mistake, it's a matter of practice. Yes, and matter of practice, and try to double check your answer. So for this question, I do have 2x plus 5 is equals to 13. So obviously I know if I want to answer this one, again, it's a two-step equation. First of all, I have to get rid of number 5, which is over here. How can I get rid of that? Would be subtracted by 5, subtracted 5. So at some point, you are going to do this one right, and it means that it would be 2x. But at another point, you're going to get a little bit confused or distracted. Instead of just subtracting by 5, you're going to add it with number 5, which you have 18. And at the end, you have x is equals to 9. You say that, okay, this is the whole number. I like it. It's not decimal, so it means that it's right? Wrong. At this position, you have to reevaluate your answer to make sure that everything is flawless. So right now, I'm going to do it. X is equals to 9. I assume that this is the right answer. So let's check it. 2 times 9 plus 5. Again, where did I get that? I got it from here. Is equals to what? 23. 23 is the first side of my equation. Is it going to be as the same as 13? Obviously not, so my answer is wrong. So please be careful when you're trying to do this kind of question. And also at the very some kind of end part of the last module, we were talking about the way that we can convert the real world examples into equation. It means that when you do have some kind of wording problems, you have to have the ability in order to convert that one to equation, and after that use it. Again, it's going to be an equation or inequality. It's completely based on the question itself. Again, for the previous video, we had different kind of wordings, and I told you that, for example, when you see this kind of examples or this kind of wordings, how you should react to them. When it's it means that equal. When it's smaller than, it could be a smaller than sign or any other things that we completely talk about everything. So let's just focus on this question that we have right now. The very first question would say that after buying a $7 sandwich, you have $11 left. How much did you start with? So how much did you start with means that your balance at the very beginning. So this one can be considered as variable, which we call it as x. Again, the variable is a number that is unknown at the current state. So we have to find it. So x, it means that after buying a $7 sandwich, obviously we have to subtract the $7 from our wallet. Subtracted by 7, you have $11 left, is going to be 11. Again, one step equation, plus 7 plus 7, so x is equals to 18. Simple. For the second question, we do have at least. So remember, at least means smaller. Oh, I'm sorry. At least means bigger than or equal. It means that whatever number that you will find is going to be considered as either 120, because it is included, or any number bigger than that. At least 120 people must attend. Each bus holds 45 people. How many buses, which we consider as B, are needed? So again, each bus needs 45 passengers inside itself, and I have to make sure that 120 is going to be the minimum people that are going to attend. So again, divided by 45, divided by 45. So at this moment, you see that B is going to be bigger or equal to 2.67. You would say that, okay, B, or the number of buses, is not going to be a decimal number, either it's 2 or 3. So at this point, we are going to say that, okay, since the number of buses is something between 2 and 3, we are going to consider a 3. So we don't care the third bus is not going to be full, but we need a whole number. What is the biggest whole number after 2.67? So obviously it's 3 itself. Let's go for the next question. For the last one, we do have the pace planning. It means that your pace must be less than 10 minutes per mile after reducing by 4 minutes. So what did it say? It says that I do have a pace. Again, I'm looking for my pace. I'm trying to find that one. So x is going to be my pace itself. If I'm going to reduce 4 minutes out of it, still my pace should be less than 10. So x subtracted by 4 less than 10. So right now we are going to see that what is the inequality related to the x. So again, as we all remember, it's just like the equation itself. So plus 4, inverse operation. So my x should be smaller than 14. Any number less than 14, 13, 12, 5, doesn't matter, is going to be my answer itself. So let's have this quick quiz. It means that right now you have to stop the video and try to think about it, see that whether you can answer it or not. Again, take your time. You don't have to answer it so fast. Try to remember everything that we have and try to apply it for this kind of questions. After that, after some kind of, you do everything by your own. Again, try to reevaluate your answer. Try to check that, for instance, when you find x as 10, put it inside the first equation to make sure the left side of expression and right side of expression is going to be right. And after that, when you make sure that everything is right, you can some kind of play the video again to see that what I'm going to do. So for the first one, I do have 4x minus 1 is equals to 23. Obviously, again, it's two-step equation. What should I do? At the very beginning, get rid of -1. Plus 1, plus 1. Bam. 4x is equals to 24. So for the next step, I do have the multiplication here. Division. division. So I do have x is equals to 6. Let me check that x is equals to 6 is the right answer. So put it over here. Instead of x, I do have the 6. The substitution method. 4 times 6, 24 subtracted by 1, 23. That's right. X over 3 is going to be bigger than or equal to negative 2. Again, I do have the division over here, multiplied by 3. Multiplied by 3, so I do have my x is going to be bigger than or equal to negative 6. One thing that you guys have to be careful, we some kind of talked about it in the last video, is that whenever you do this kind of inverse operation, especially I'm talking about division and multiplication with negative numbers, you have to make sure that you are going to flip the sign. If it was bigger than, it's going to be smaller than. If it was smaller than, it's going to be bigger than, so on and so forth. So for this question, my question was like this: a negative x over 3 is going to be bigger than or equal to negative 2. So as soon as we are going to do something like this, we see that this question actually was like this: x divided by negative 3, right? So it means that somehow I have to get rid of negative 3, so I will multiply everything by negative 3, right? So the very first part is not that hard, is not that kind of challenging. So you would say that, okay, x is going to be smaller, it's going to be bigger than or equal to 6 itself. But you have to remember, this is not right. You have to flip the sign. So x is going to be smaller than or equal to 6 itself. Please be careful about that, because I have seen so many students that did everything right, but forgot about this critical step. So again, we do have another kind of questions. These are going to be as a practice problems. So let's again try to pause the video, try to think about it, and after that we are going to do it together. For the very first one, I do have this one. This x minus 7 is equals to negative 2. Again, so simple. Add 7. So I do have x is equals to 5. 7 subtracted by 2 or plus negative 2 is 5. So again, I do have the multiplication divided by 6. So my x is going to be 9 itself. So for the next one, I do have two-step equation, right? First of all, I have to make sure all of my x's are in one side. So I'm going to subtract by x, because I'm going to move this guy to this side. So I do have 2x plus 5 subtracted by x is equals x subtracted by x plus 12 itself. So what do I have? I do have x plus 5 is equals 12 itself. One-step equation. Subtracted by 5. So I do have x is equals to 7 itself. Simple. For the first part, for the second part, I do have the distributive property. It means that somehow I have to get rid of fraction. 3 multiplied by the first side, 3 multiplied by second side, and I will keep this side by itself. So in total, I do have 3x subtracted by 3 is equals 6 plus x. Again, I have to move this x to the other side, or I have to get rid of it from this side. Subtracted by x. Again, try to remember, whatever you're doing with one side, you have to do the same thing with another side. We are trying to keep the balance. So I do have 3x subtracted by x subtracted by 3 is equal to 6 plus x subtracted by x. Cancel. I do have 3x subtracted by x, like terms, 2x subtracted by 3 is equals to 6 itself. So again, two-step equation, plus 3, so 2x is equals to 9. And after that, I do have the division. It's going to be divide by 2. So x is equals 4.5 itself. So for the next part, I do have 7x plus 4 is equals 32. Two-step. So subtracted by 4. So I do have 7x is equals to 28. Again, for the next step, divided by 7. So I do have x is equals to 4. Simple. Try to make sure that your answer is right by putting the x, by putting 4 as x with substitution method, in order to make sure the left side of equation is going to be the same as the right side. So again, we do have something like this one. First of all, we have to get rid of negative 3, or we have to move it to another side. Plus 3. So what do we have? X over 5. Again, x over 5 is going to be equal to 5, right? So I do have division, multiply by 5. So what do I have? I do have my x is equals 25 itself. So for the last question, So for the last part, we do have inequalities. Again, you can do the same thing. I'm not going to do that. I only think, no. Please, let me do this one. Again, negative 3x bigger than or equal to 9. As I just mentioned, we have to do what? Divided by negative 3. So I do have x, and after that, I do have negative 3. what should happen to your inequality? We should flip the sign. So this guy should be smaller than equal -3. Be careful. So I do have x over 4 multiplied by 4, multiplied by 4. So x is going to be smaller than -8. Nothing would change because I do have a positive number as multiplication itself. So that was all of the questions we had so far, and we end this module, which was about equation and inequalities. Please try to rewatch this section alongside with the previous section to make sure that you completely understand about everything, about what are the rules we use, what are some kind of steps that we have, 1 step, 2 step, or there's some kind of the combination of those two. Try to make sure that at the end of each of those question, equation or inequality, you would evaluate your final answer to the question itself to make sure that your left side of expression and right side of expression is going to be right. So if you like this part, please like, share, and comment. That would be so helpful to me. My name is Mahmoud Kiasari. Have yourself a great day, night, whatever. See you around.